guys, listen, I know this is a little bit different than what we promised, but guess what? Your girl is like losing. Okay, me, right? I am having a very hard time trying to get Vashon and I to connect on the Facebook group live. I'm just having a lot of technical difficulties. And so, in a pinch, we were like, hey, let's just do a Zoom really quickly and then reconvene at another time. I hope this is okay with you. But, guys, I just wanted to come on here today and just talk to you guys about all the things, right? I hear from so many of you individually about how life is just life and how you've been so busy and stressed out and all the things. I get it. I'm there with you. That's why I haven't really been on the platform that much because I'm having so much put on my plate. And some days it can be very overwhelming, but I use exercise as my remedy. Exercise is my thing to help me get through all the stress and all the things that's going on in this world and in my life. And so I reconnected with my girlfriend. So this is Vashon, y'all. Like I went to high school with her. We were besties, good friends. She's always been a kind, sweet soul. And now to reconnect with her here on Facebook, but also she's here in Atlanta. What a treat. Okay. So we've reconnected and Vashon is a life doula, y'all. I'm going to let her share with you what all that is. But first of all, Vashon, I want you to share with us and share what I know you, but I want my tribe to get to know you a little bit better. Tell them about who Vashon Moore is. Take us through the younger Vashon Moore, the 10-year-old, 15-year-old Vashon Moore, and lead us up to who you are today.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that. And it has been so great reconnecting with you. Have really assisted me so much. And sometimes you don't even know what you don't even know that you need, you know. So younger me was a hot mess express. Let me tell you. On the outside, I looked all the things. I had everything looking together. But on the inside, I was really dying on the inside. I really hated myself. I hated really everything about myself, my name, my hair, my everything. I just, my boobs weren't big enough. I was too fat and all the things, right? And I took that with me. Those are all messages I got growing up. And I just took that with me through my life. So, of course, like I said, when I said Hot Mess Express, I created that because of how I felt about myself.
Right.
And over time, I got into a variety of relationships and made different choices that were not as conducive to me and my well-being. And that comes from not loving myself enough, not putting myself first, not putting my needs, my wants, my desires, my dreams, all that first. So fast forward a few years, well, and I was okay. So I'll take you. That's through my 20s, 30s. I get into like my 40s, and I was in this. I got out of this abusive relationship, and I was like hit like rock bottom. I would say because I think that's the lowest I've ever been. I was, I've been, on thought about unaliving myself over the years, right? Because I did hate myself. And I was at this point where I do music. I'm a singer and I love music. Music has always connected me back to myself and to life and brought me so much joy and brought me through all the emotions, right? So I started writing poetry when I was 10 because that was the only way that I felt like I had to express myself. Because I couldn't share it in my home. I could share with my friends, like with you guys and things like that. But and even you guys didn't know the depth of the things that were going on, of course, because we're in our community we're taught to be secret squirrels, and what goes on in your house, you don't put it out,
Yeah.
But in my poetry, I could put it in, and then poetry turned to song and lyrics, and then I started writing my own music and things like that. So I was like despondent. I got into the situation where I thought someone was assisting me, but they really weren't. And it was just a situation that I was just like, how the hell did I get here? And I went to a sister friend and she was just like, you just need to reevaluate your life, but I can't help you. And I was just like, oh, where do we do this at? Right. So I was like, okay. but it was great. It was the best thing that could ever happen to me because it allowed me to be a resource for me, right? So anyway, I drove my car to this little lake. Well, I was sitting by the lake, and I was just like, how can I drive this car into the lake? Because this is ridiculous. I don't need to be here. I'm too naive for this world. I don't get it. I don't get people. I'm just, it's just too much. And I'm sitting there and I was, writing lyrics, and I started sobbing and crying. And then I heard a voice say, "You're the common denominator." Excuse me. Repeat that.
What was that, Lord?
Right. And I heard it again. "You're the common denominator." So in that moment, I was like, oh, what? If I'm the common denominator, and I immediately knew what it meant because, it's in your spirit. I was like, oh, if I'm the common denominator, that I can fix this. So then I'm there like laughing, crying. I swear if somebody had walked up, they probably would have called the people because I would have not known what to do with me. But in that moment, I started this whole awakening journey. That's about 8 years ago, where I just started going in, like really tapping into my connection with spirituality and, what that looked like for me and God. And then going to really finding what my purpose is in life, like fully, right? So I just started really delving into my spiritual gifts that God has given me and all the gifts that God has given me, including singing and my music. And then I found this group called Earthwaking, and they really made some practical things, like so simple, like, and these principles have been around since forever, the 1800s, 1900s, like rediscovered, because that's what we're basically doing here. We are rediscovering who we are, which is love, right? We are love incarnated on earth. We are God personified. We are expression of God here on earth, right? And we're all one. And all these other labels and all these other things are just ways to keep us divided. So we don't come together. We don't create community, because that's where our power is. And we forget that part. So we allow, oh, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat, I'm Black, I'm white, I'm, in this group and that group. It doesn't really matter. None of that matters. All that matters is, are you coming from a place of love in your heart and your inner knowing of, when I talk to you, I'm communing with God. When I talk to my fellow brother, sister, animal, tree, I am communing with God. So if we come from that space, how could you ever harm your brother or sister or animal or tree or anything like that?
You can't. It's impossible.
But when I say, oh, well, you're Black and you're white and you're Hispanic or you're this or you're that, now there's a division. So now I see you as something separate from myself. So now, yeah, I could kick you and chop you down, and so I've just discovered all of that. And through the group, I met some amazing people, and I had a sister friend, and she was like, I had always wanted to be a birth doula. And I had known about birth doula, and then I found out about death doula. And doula just means that you're a guide. You're not so much, so, like with birth, right? There's a midwife, and they're usually hands-on in the birth. The doula is more of focused on the person, the mom, as opposed to the baby, where the midwife is more focused on the baby and the birth, and the doula is focused on the mom. And I was like, oh, I love that. And I was like, I want to be a birth doula. And then my sister friend said, oh my God, I think I want to be a life doula. And I said, that's exactly what I do. Because I wanted to be a birth doula. I wanted to be a death doula, which is death doula is the same thing. You assist the family members with the transitioning of their loved ones, making it as easy as possible. Because I've always wanted to do that. I always wanted to work. It sounds probably weird, but I always wanted to work for a funeral home because I wanted to be there for the family members, just guiding them through their journey and their process and allowing them to be wherever they're at and navigating, hey, you got to make these decisions for your family member. And you can't do that unless you go to mortuary school. And
he wasn't about to do that.
But this being a doula allows you to do that. So that's how the whole life doula came. Because I was like, I don't really like coach, because it to me it kind of denotes this rah rah, I'm cheering you on. And yes, as
It's
I am
more
cheering,
than that.
huh?
But it's more than that. It's way more
It
than
is
that.
more than that. Because even though I am cheering you on, I'm not gonna spit, BS. Like, I'm not gonna be like, if you're not doing the right thing or headed in a
Right.
direction you say you want to go, because it's not even about right direction. It's okay, you say you want to do this, but you're doing this, but that's not taking you closer to where you say you want to be. So I'm gonna call you out on it. And hey, it is what it is. But if you want somebody who's just gonna be like, oh well, do whatever you want, that's not me. I'm not that one.
I think, to be honest with you, I think we all could use a life doula, right? And
Uh,
I love what you said. I think that most of us here in this group, the moms, we're all busy, ambitious women who are at different stages of our lives. Like some of us are, working two jobs. Some of us are retired. Some of us are, we are adopting kids. We're having grandkids. We are forced parents. We're bonus parents, right?
right? Yeah.
Like you are. And we're all, I think you touched on, you said we're all on the path of rediscovery. And I love what you said there. And I'm at that phase now. Like I have gotten into a phase where I pay a lot of attention to my relationships, right? I focus a lot on myself. A lot of self-care has been taking place because for so long, as most of us have done, we have like burnt the candle at both ends, right? We have
Yes.
so much and we do everything for everybody, and then we forget about ourselves. And so then you look up in your 40s and you're like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Now, you talked about, when you were talking about your childhood too, you touched on childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is a thing, and it can affect your mental and your physical well-being. And that, coupled with stress, is
Mm,
something that is just it's very real, and can be a little bit out of control if you don't get a handle on it, right?
yes.
So I'm
Yes.
here to kind of navigate us through and walk
Mhm.
us through some steps. I know you have some tips about navigating life in your 40s as busy women and all of the things. I would love for you to, just touch a little bit on the topic of stress and overwhelm and how we as busy moms can combat that. And any advice, darling, that you can give as a life doula, we would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Because
Okay. Well, think what I've learned is that, I remember, like I said, rediscovering. We're remembering who
Mhm.
who we are, right? And at the very base, we were born magnificently. We are a
Ooh,
one of us is a 1 in 4 billion, blah blah
yeah.
blah, uh odd of being here. So just in that alone, you you put your crown, whether you're a king or a queen or whatever, on straight, right? But we've been conditioned and domesticated into thinking that we're less than, we're not enough, that we self-sacrifice. You got to go hard. If you're not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and up until 3 o'clock, 2:30 in the morning, then you're not doing it,
You're
and
nothing.
you're not. And it's
You're
but
whack.
that that's part of the domestication to keep us on this hamster wheel of being disconnected from ourselves.
Mm.
That's what we've gotten out of. Like, we have been domesticated into not doing our own self-care, not looking out for ourselves. And that's a major, major, major shift in mindset, that you come first. You have to fill your own cup before you fill anybody else's. You can't fill anybody else's cup if yours is empty.
True.
So self-care is so key. And we have this misguided, miss whatever, could be on purpose, whatever, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that moms especially, oh my gosh, if you're not on top of everything, you don't remember everything, you're not doing for the kids, you're
The
not doing for your
guilt. Oh,
spouse, you're not doing, you are failing.
yeah.
That is and that is at the detriment of you, your mind, body, and spirit. And again, if you're not taking care of your mind, body, and spirit, you can't take care of anybody else effectively. You can do it, and a
Mm.
lot of us do it, and we are depleting ourselves to the point where we are going to get sick. We are, our weight, our health and well-being is suffering. And our mindset is suffering. We're
Mm.
like Lulu, like just kind of going through life, going through the motions. We can't remember nothing. We're
Yeah.
just doing all the things. And 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 what is the quality, like you said, what is the quality of your connections and your relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in that space. So self-care is one of the biggest things I can recommend. And self-care doesn't necessarily look like going to the spa. It can. Doesn't necessarily look like being in the bathtub and with the bubbles and the wine or whatever. It can. It really is putting yourself first. Because when you put yourself first and people say, oh no, my kids come first. Well, if that is what you want, great, but you're always going to leave yourself behind.
Mm.
You're leaving yourself behind, and you're oh, my partner comes first. Great. You're leaving yourself behind. And on top of it, you're teaching your partner and your kids how to treat you.
Ooh. Well, girl, oh my
You're
God.
teaching people how to
That,
treat you.
yeah, that hit home. That is so powerful. So self-care is one tip. Can you give us a few more before we end the call? Is there
Yeah.
any other tips?
So shift in mindset. Happiness is an inside job. So
Ooh.
we get to choose how we see the world. So, for example, I told you a little bit about my trauma. I didn't go into detail, but it was a childhood that was less than nourishing to my childhood soul, right? And I could take that and be a victim and feel like, oh my God, this happened to me. Why did they do this to me? Da da da. And I did feel like that for a while. And then I realized, there's healing there that needed to be happen with forgiveness for myself, for keeping what they taught me going, right? Because I could have at any point said, you know what, I'm worthy. What they said is bullshit, but I
Yeah.
kept it going. And that's okay. I could have stopped judging myself, but I kept it going. So I realized that what I went through can be my is now my superpower, because the skills that I learned to be very empathic and very connected people, and pick up in a moment, ooh, something's off with that person. Ooh, they say they're good, but they're not good. But that's because I have to do that for survival. That was part of my survival mode. Like I had to make sure that everybody was good, because that's what kept the peace in my house. But now I can use it as a superpower instead of using it to relive the trauma. So just an example. So I get to choose how I see the world. Like I went to get in the car one day, take the kids over to my sister's house, and we're having a party. And the car wouldn't start. Now I could have been like, WTF, why is this happening? I really just want to go where I'm going. And I said, you know what? All right, well, I'm not supposed to be leaving now, I'm not supposed to be leaving now. Maybe who knows? There may be a reason why I'm not supposed to be on the road right now. I
Absolutely.
complained and stomped and did all the things, but why?
Why?
What is that going to serve? So I get to choose. So when I say you get to choose how you use the experiences and situations of life, because life is going to life be life,
Period.
right?
Yes.
But you get to choose how you react or respond. And you want to learn to respond to life instead of react. And react means you're all in your emotions, you're all like in the things, and you're catastrophizing, you're triggered, or whatever word you want to use. Respond is, okay, let me take a deep breath. All right. What can I use this situation for? Because everything in my life I choose to use for happiness, peace, and joy.
Man.
So how can I see happiness and peace and joy in the situation, even though it looks dim? Like, even though I'm getting evicted, even though I'm getting, I got this bill that I can't pay, this, my house is flooding. How can I see that? Well, maybe I needed a new floor. Maybe I needed a new fridge. Maybe there's something I needed to see that I couldn't see if I didn't move the fridge, because now the thing is flooded, right?
I like that.
It's a
Yeah,
shift, and it
it,
can be subtle. So that's one thing. Happiness is an inside job. You get to choose
I love
what
it.
you make out of life, right?
What's
So,
number 3?
yeah. So let me see what else
I know you
offhand.
have so many, and I just want Vashon to give us 3, because we want to come back and continue this conversation, because we
Yeah.
feel this
Yes.
is a live conversation where you can engage and ask questions and leave comments. So I just want you to really quickly to give me your third tip, and then we're going to come back and we're going to connect with the fit moms a little bit later on.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, I'm as a tip, I'm gonna bring up the functional freeze. Remember, I mentioned that.
Yes.
Okay. So functional freeze is something I describe. And again, I try to use as few labels in my life as possible because it divides, right?
Labels are
But I realize the labels can at least point you in a direction in which way you need to go. Okay.
mm,
So like I feel like I was undiagnosed adult ADHD, but it helped me see, oh, this is why I do these things. This is why I operate this way. And because of that, now it helps me to work with my strengths and bolster my weaknesses, right? So the functional freeze is you have this area that you know that you should be doing. I don't like shitting on ourselves, but know that you want to do.
mm-hmm.
You know it's part of your purpose. You know that it's what's going to take you to the next level or whatever that is, right? And yet, for whatever reason, it seems like no matter what happens, you cannot do that thing. Yet, in the rest of your life, you are doing the tasks that you need to do.
Right.
So I'll give you a real life example. I'm a life doula. I'm a transformational speaker, but I had this block to go live, to get online, to be on social media. One, because I was looking at all these other people and I was like, they got beautiful houses and backgrounds and all the things. I don't have any of that. And they make all these fancy schmancy videos. And I was like, I don't have any of that. And then I also, a part of like the trauma, we're unlearning a lot, right? Because, we've been doing this a little bit longer than not, right? So it was like, oh gosh, I don't want to be seen because if I call attention to myself, it's not safe. And then people are going to judge me. They're going to have their things, right? So I know that's what I need to do. I know putting myself out there is only what's going to take me to the next level. And yet you could have put a gun to my head. I probably wouldn't have done it.
Right.
I got hypnosis. I did all the things and I still had an issue. And it was like a block. It was really like a block. So and yet I'm still getting up, getting the kids ready for school, doing all the things, make sure the house is good, all the other things I was doing. But that thing,
wow,
especially because it was for me and take me and my business and my brand to the next level. Why? That's part of my purpose. Why am I not doing it? It was that functional freeze because it's part of that survival mode that a lot of us live in until we don't. And so I wasn't doing that. And then I got reconnected with you and you were so helpful. It made me realize too, check on your strong friends because they, as much as I do reach out and share, and I have people that I share these things with, sometimes you just need the right person to push you just a little bit, right? You would not give up. You kept calling and texting, and I was just like, oh, this is leave me alone. I love her. And she just keeps putting.
I'm sure a lot of the fit moms are saying the same thing. I will be like, what you doing?
What? I'm like, why
sorry. I'm sorry.
Her? And she's texting again. What does she want? And I was like, okay. And I would do things little by little, but that's exactly what I needed. The little steps, because micro actions is still action, and you need those little. So the way to get out of functional freeze is taking those little baby steps. Maybe it's okay, I'm gonna do something different today, or I'm gonna try a different. I think you gave me the 45-minute segments because I was already doing dot journaling, which helped me immensely. But now I can add this element to it. And now I was like, okay, I have this dedicated time that I can do this thing, right? And even if I didn't do it, at least my intention was to do that. So even if I didn't do it today or tomorrow, maybe the next day, but it's there to remind me, okay. And of course I was going to get a text from you or something. Well, come to this meeting or do this thing or whatever the thing. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do the things. But you need that push.
This is so funny because I know there are some of the moms watching this, like cracking up, like, "Yup, that's Keisha." So
But you
listen, I'm
need
gonna
that.
talk to her. I treat
You need that.
everybody the same way. It
But you
is what
need
it
that.
is.
You need
For
that. You need
sure.
somebody like that on your team. If you don't have somebody like that on the team, reevaluate your team, because you need at least one person that is going to be like,
Absolutely.
look, I know you
Yeah.
say in such love, and that's one thing I could say. You
Oh
did
yeah.
it in such love and
Yeah.
such, like, you really cared about me and knowing where I wanted to get to. And you were like, okay, what's going on? And I just have to break it down to you and be like, look, this is what's really going on. I
Yes.
don't know what's going on. I just
Right.
know this is what's happening. And you were like, okay, try this, try this, try this. And you gave me a few things to try. And even if I didn't try anything, at least I had a direction. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's so important, so important. So you need, so with the functional freeze, just taking those little steps, even if it's like, let's say you're going through something, even if it's just getting out of bed, making up the bed, okay, taking a shower, because everybody's in different spaces in their lives and different
Yeah.
things going on, people in modes of grief. So, and it could be grief over ending of a relationship, or passing of a loved one, past loss of, you know, a stream of income, or whatever that looks like. Grief
Yes.
is universal, but we aren't normally associated to death, but it doesn't, it could be a death of anything. And
Yes.
it's really just about taking those little steps, those, that next best step that's gonna take you to your next best step, to your
I
next step.
I love it. Fit moms, you heard that from Doula Vashon, right? What's
Yes.
your next best step? Are you going to take those micro actions today to change the path, to change your life, to relieve yourself of this stress, this thing that we're calling stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
This was such a rich conversation. I wish we could go on and on, which you and I, we probably could. You know what I mean? Let me just say that.
But no, we just want to do something a little quick, give you a little taste and
Let's
teaser, and we'll be back. We'll be back.
Because you know when high school girlfriends get together, baby, it's a situation. Okay.
It is. And like, we never left. That's the beauty of it. That's how you know you really have good girlfriends, good sister friends. You could not talk for years. Like, we've talked, you know, text and
Yeah,
on the
off
phone
and
and
on.
off
Mhm.
and on. But it's like you never, like, it's
Yeah,
yesterday. Like, you're still back
yeah.
in high school, just sitting in the classroom, goofing around and doing all the things.
That's it. We the girls of Mount St. Ursula. Stop. True. All right, I'm going to end it right there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this mini interview. This was just a taste of what's to come. We want to get you involved in the conversation and talk a little bit more about functional freeze. And Vashon's going to share some more tips with us. And so we'll post this video and we'll come back again and let you know when I'll have my app together, because maybe I need to update my app. I don't know.
Oh, yes. I didn't even think of that. Yes. Update
I'm
the app.
thinking to just delete it and then bring it back in.
You could
See,
try that too.
I need you. I need you, life doula. Okay. We gotta go now. Thanks for
All right. Thank you so much.
you know that. Mwah.
All right.
Information. We'll talk. Bye,
Okay.
everybody. Be well.
Bye.
Bye.